Now, Brawl Stars has been around for 7 years now, and there are a lot of things that have changed. Unless you are a true OG, you probably won't remember all of these things that most players have long since forgotten about. Now, there are a lot of different environments in Brawl Stars, and some of them have some cool features, but one that most people won't remember is the pirate ship. Now, this was released around 5 years ago, and throughout the game, the ship would tilt back and forth. If you were moving downhill, you would move faster, and if you were going uphill, then you would move slower. Now, this could still come back into the game, but it's been gone for quite some time, so you might not remember it now. But I think there's a chance that you will not want to remember the game mode called Bot Drop. Bot Drop was a game mode that Brawl Stars introduced in Season 12, where in this 3v3 mode, you battled other teams to destroy bots that got dropped from the sky. You collected the bolts left over and you would win. However, just like the bots in this game mode, it got dropped because, well, it was hated by almost everyone. What wasn't hated, but Brawl Stars still stopped doing it, was the Brawlies. Once a year, Brawl Stars would put out a very well-produced award show, handing out awards to the community and content creators for exceptional content. Now, these were generally well-received and really highlighted the community for a lot of really awesome things. I actually won one for both years that they did it, but they didn't have time to do one last year, and who knows if they're ever going to do one again in the future, so it very well may be a thing of the past. And speaking of the past, back in beta, you didn't use power points and coins to level up your brawlers, you had to use elixir. Now, you got this elixir by opening boxes. You could even get different rarities of elixir drops, which gave you more or less depending on the rarity.
No! How could you do that to me? I see the orange.
Now, not only was this elixir in boxes, but there was also a different elixir in showdown boxes as well. Now, the elixir in showdown functioned the same way that power cubes do, but you just had a little elixir icon above your head instead of, the power cubes. So people knew to avoid you if you were too strong. But if you wanted people to really avoid you, well, you just camp in a bush. That is, unless that bush gets destroyed. However, years ago, the grass actually used to regrow. Well, at least the green one. Now, there used to be 3 types of bushes: the green grass, the dead grass, and the blue grass. And while both the blue and the dead grass never regrew, about 6 years ago, the green grass would regrow after being destroyed. Now, it did take about 30 seconds, but if your cover got destroyed, all hope wasn't lost for you bush campers, as it would regrow and give you a place to hide again. Now, this feature was removed and never saw the light of day again, just like I hope Trophy Escape is never seen again as well. Now, this is a newish game mode introduced about a year ago, and while it wasn't bot drop level bad, it wasn't great. Now, the general idea of the game mode was to kill players and bots that spread around the map. And then once you've collected however many trophies you wanted to, you could try to escape the match on a teleport pad. Now, if successful, you kept the trophies that you collected, but you could also try to just keep playing for more, risking losing it all if you didn't escape. Now, while it was a decent idea, it never really caught on and has never been seen since, although it is possible it comes back. But one thing most likely not coming back are pin packs. Now, a pin pack contained a few different random pins that you would unlock when you open them. Mainly, they were found on the last tier of the Brawl Pass, but on the weekends, they would show up in the shop as well. Now, while there were some players who really liked them, including myself, most players really weren't fond of this reward, and they ended up moving all of these pins to the catalog, where you would just buy the ones you wanted, rather than hoping for something good at the end of the Brawl Pass. And as a free-to-play player, if you saved all of your gems every other season, you could get the Brawl Pass for free. And this was huge for players who couldn't spend any money in the game, but in December of 2023, Brawl Stars announced that they would be removing this feature and making the pass an in-app purchase only. Now, there was a massive outroar, with most players hating this, but now it kind of just seems like normal for the game. What wasn't normal, though, is the crazy trophies that you got for playing Map Maker. Now, when Map Maker was released, you used to gain trophies for the games in there. This led to some maps being really wild, and you could win trophies faster than any other way in the game. 10 trophies in 15 seconds? Yep, that used to be a thing, but it got so out of hand with people farming them with really strange comps that Brawl Stars removed the trophy loss and gain, as it was a bit cheesy, and it would suck to lose that fast. Just like you could lose real fast if you had a teammate dead set on trolling you in the old Brawl Ball. 4 years ago in Brawl Ball, you could actually score on your own team. Now, most of the time, this was done by accident, but there was always those players that just liked to grief with others. And of course, usually this was a Mortis, because they could just go grab the ball really quick and walk it back to your own goal and kick it in, causing you to lose the match and possibly your mind as well. Thank goodness it was removed for all of our sanity, which I've actually never gone more crazy than when I used to see people do this next one. Back in 2018, Brawl Stars changed Brawl maps and created a zone behind the goal so that when you respawned, you did so behind the Brawl Ball goal. What this led to were players scoring a goal, and then instead of kicking it into the corner and trying to defend like people do now or just winning the game, they would bring the ball all the way back behind the goal and just defend it. And since you respawn right next to where you put the ball and you were invincible, it was near impossible to actually get the ball away from that spot if you were the enemy. It was incredibly frustrating, and thankfully, it didn't last long before the maps were changed to what they are now, instead of making players give up hope of even winning at all. Just like you felt hopeless when you tried to get a new brawler back in beta. Now, when the game was first released, there was an entirely different way of unlocking brawlers. Now, yes, you could still get brawlers from just unlocking them out of a box, but what you might not know or may have forgotten is that you could actually get duplicate brawlers. Let's say you already had Colt. Well, you could unlock Colt again. However, if it was a duplicate, they would give you a currency known as a chip. You could take these chips and then save them up, and once you had enough, you could spend them on unlocking any other brawler of your choice. This was actually how I unlocked Spike, because I had been getting so unlucky of getting him out of a box. Plain and simple, it wasn't a good system, and it went through many different variations until now where we have the Star Road. But how you unlock brawlers weren't the only thing to go through changes. Now, I already told you about leveling up your brawlers with elixir, but there was an update that perhaps was one of my favorites that, well, it didn't last too long. It came in the same update when they released Daryl in beta. I don't know if there's an official name for it, but we called it the Badges, Medals, and Crest upgrade system. It was actually pretty cool, as you could choose what to upgrade on your brawler whenever you wanted to. So if you wanted to focus on damage and hit points, well, you could do that just by filling those slots in. But Brawl Stars ultimately felt that it was too complicated to understand, so they got rid of it in favor of the current more simple system, just like they got rid of many underperforming game modes like Lone Star, Mystery Mode, and Power Play. Now, Lone Star was a mix of Showdown and Bounty. It was a 10-player free-for-all where whoever ended the match with the highest number of stars was the winner. Now, it was just alright, but kill stealing and then respawning in bad spots were some huge issues, while Mystery Mode had its own issue, and it was, well, the entire concept of this. Most of the times you want to go into a match knowing what brawler to play for that mode and map, but in this mode you had no idea what you were getting. It was later changed and then removed, just like Power Play was changed as well. Now, Power Play was the predecessor to Power League, which of course is the predecessor to Ranked Mode. Now, in Power Play you got 3 matches per day and you would collect points based upon your performance. It was similar to the mini contests that we have now in like these special events, but at the end of the season the winners would get a huge star point reward. Yes, star points were a thing that also got removed as well. Now, star points were a thing that came before bling. With star points, you could buy special skins that were only available by using these star points. Some of the most exclusive skins in the game, like the Gold Mecha Crow skin, used to be only purchasable with this currency. The problem is that there were only very few skins that you could buy with these points, and Brawl Stars hardly ever added any new ones, so it was a useless currency for a very long time, much like original experience points were also useless. Now, while you can still see your experience level on your profile, it's something that has been removed from active use in the game. You would gain experience points just for playing, and you could go up in your level, but aside from getting a few extra tokens when you did level up, it was pointless and just kind of random. Another thing that was random was brawlers that you would get out of these brawler boxes. Now, back in beta, you couldn't just buy any brawler you wanted from the brawler screen. You were forced to get it out of a drop, but in the shop, you could purchase a box that would give you a random brawler of a specific rarity. Now, while you did get a brawler from it, you had no idea which brawler you were going to get. Much like we have no idea if Brawl Stars are ever going to finish those PvE modes like they said they would. Now, in a roadmap a couple of years ago, Brawl Stars said that they were going to focus on PvE game modes, and the first one that they released was 8-Bit's Last Stand. Now, in this game mode, you had to protect 8-Bit as he wandered around the map and periodically just shut down. Hordes of bots would come at him to destroy him, and if you didn't protect him enough, he got destroyed and you lost some rewards that you could have gotten. But what if you could actually gain double rewards? Well, for a time you actually could, because years ago, Brawl Stars introduced a feature where you could actually double the rewards of your box that you got by watching an ad. Now I know, we all hate those ads on games that just pop up, but Brawl Stars actually did it decently as you weren't forced to watch them, but if you did, it would double the rewards of the box that you opened. So many people were ready and willing just to tap that watch ad button, just like people used to tap the screen to move their brawlers. Now when the game first launched, you had a choice to either move around with a joystick just like you do now, or you could change the controls to tap to move. Now I tried it, but it was really imprecise. You couldn't juke very well, and overall it just felt really strange to do it like this, but some people actually like playing this way, although I really don't know why. However, I do know why this next thing was removed, and that's because it sucked, and I'm talking about Club League. Now, not only have clubs seen big changes like going from 100 members down to 30 members per club, but also the removal of a feature called Club League. Now, Club League was the thing where you played matches with your club mates competing against other clubs to get the most points. If your club did well enough, then you would get promoted to the next league all the way up to Masters, and if you didn't do very well, well then you could actually get demoted. The idea itself was pretty solid, but you had to play this so much and be very consistent that it became quickly just a chore to stay on top of it, leading players to get burnt out and start ignoring playing this mode altogether, even though it was unquestionably the best way to get progress in the game. However, there was another really negative thing about Club League 2, and that was golden tickets. You see, every player in Club League got tickets to play their matches, but you had the option of spending gems to purchase more tickets. This gave an unfair advantage to people willing to shell out their resources to purchase these tickets, and after a loud outcry from the community, including myself, they were removed and never brought back. But tickets weren't always used just for Club League, as once upon a time, they were actually used to play this special weekend events. You got a handful of tickets for free, and then you spent them to load into a match. The better you did, the more rewards you got, and you could even spend more tickets by buying some in the shop and then by gambling up to 20 tickets per match. Now, this was actually the best strategy to progress in the game, assuming that you did well, because if you didn't, well then your tickets didn't get much value and went up in smoke, just like the TNT boxes used to as well. Now, you've probably seen the TNT boxes in the tutorial, but these blocks used to be in heist matches as well. They would block off areas of the map, and since back then, one team got assigned to attack and the other one was supposed to defend the safe. Well, the attacking team would try to blow up these TNT blocks, which would blow up the walls, letting them get access to the safe. So if you didn't get through the TNT boxes fast enough, you were destined to fail. These explosive blocks have never been seen elsewhere, except for in the tutorial, which the tutorial didn't always used to look like this. Now, early on, the tutorial looked much different. While the concepts were basically the same, it was obviously a much less polished version of that tutorial. You go through a path, you destroy some brawlers, and then you blast open a wall with your super. It eventually got replaced with a better one and was scrapped. And speaking of scraps, when gears were first introduced, they actually had levels. You unlocked a gear with scrap and tokens for the appropriate gear, and then you used more scraps to level up your gears from 1 to 2 all the way up to level 3, which was the max. Now, this system was overwhelmingly hated by players, and eventually Brawl Stars overhauled them to the current system, but not before getting all my money. And those were 30 things that most Brawl Stars players have probably forgotten about.